Chapter 1, Scene 3. What a treat! We get our assignment straight from Lady Falcon's own mouth today. Spencer burst through Samira's doorway. He grinned from ear to ear. Then he gave her a salute. Navy, of course, before practically bouncing in. Hit me with your hardest job. I'm at your service. Ah, Spencer, Samira greeted offhandedly, her eyes leaving her laptop as she glanced at him. The 18-year-old had a skinny frame, his brown hair perpetually looking as if he had just rolled out of bed. His tanned skin and vibrant green eyes stood out, especially today with his moss green tracksuit. He had always been easy to spot, not for his looks, but for the way he carried himself. Loud and full of energy. I wasn't expecting you or your former classmates for another 15 minutes. She couldn't hide the slight displeasure in her tone. Anyway, have a seat till the others get here. Oh, okay. Spencer gave her a half-jumbled look, then slouched into one of the armchairs in front of her desk. Samira returned her focus to her laptop. A few minutes of silent work passed before another person made an entrance. Yo, Lady Falcon! Kai's grin preceded him as he stepped through the doorway. His usual unkempt look was on full display. Wrinkled t-shirt and mud-stained combat pants. Kai's black hair was as messy as Spencer's. But where Spencer's build was wiry, Kai had a bit more meat on his bones. Spencer, I can't believe you beat me here, he called out to the other boy. You snooze, you lose, Spencer beamed, sitting up straighter. With a chuckle, Kai threw himself into the opposite armchair. He turned to Samira, flashing a smirk. Did we win something, or are we about to get fired in style? His eyes sparkled with mischief. I thought only top dogs were allowed in your swanky office. Before Samira could respond, another person entered. Good morning, Lady Falcon. The voice was smooth, instantly drawing everyone's attention to the doorway. Their eyes were met with a girl bowing, the only one to offer the technically proper greeting. Ironically, she was the least obligated to do so, given that she was Samira's cousin once removed. Liddy! Spencer exclaimed, jumping to his feet. His face lit up with enthusiasm. You're joining us! Liddy approached with a smile, her shiny black curls bouncing lightly with each step. She placed her hands on her hips, tilting her head at Spencer. It sure looks like it, she remarked. Spencer's gaze lingered on her, taking in the details of her athletic build, deep espresso complexion, and the neat fit of her combat shorts and vest, each feature seemingly too captivating for him to ignore. In a cruel twist of fate, however, Liddy's attention drifted elsewhere. Eirik! Her voice softened with a mix of surprise and concern, her gaze fixed on the boy in the doorway. At that, all eyes turned towards him. It only took one look at Eirik for Samira to know he was a little worse for wear. But that had become the norm for him. His dark auburn hair was styled in a trendy variation of the classic side part, every strand in place. Even with his usual polished appearance, the fresh cut along his jawline was yet another addition to his growing collection of injuries. His eyes, like liquid gold, were a striking reminder of his royal Eldsavero bloodline, and beneath their gleam, subtle shadows hinted at his exhaustion. Lady Falcon, Liddy said anxiously, her gaze zipping from Eirik to Samira. Eirik was injured yesterday, she stepped closer. Are you sending him on an assignment with us today? Samira opened her mouth to reply, but Eirik beat her to it. Liddy, he said, as he entered the office, who asked you to speak for me? His eyes locked with Liddy's, unyielding. Liddy seemed to deflate, though her gaze never wavered. She scanned Eirik's tall, muscular frame as he adjusted his combat shirt, quietly assessing him. The bandages peeking through around his wrists and neckline only seemed to deepen her worry. Yet she didn't respond. Lady Falcon, Spencer burst out. Is this all of us? Can you tell us our assignment now? Yes, your team's now complete, Samira affirmed, observing the faces of the young fighters. They looked expectant, and a little tense, except for Eirik. He just looked unreadable. I summoned you all here this morning on short notice. due to a matter of urgency. Samira's opening words didn't help the sense of unease among the team. Last night, the vault holding the ancient scrolls of every forbidden elemental technique across the continent was breached. No way! Spencer erupted, throwing his hands out. Isn't that vault one of the most heavily guarded places in the damned city? Kai questioned, his voice rising. Its location is a classified secret, known only to a select few, Eirik explained, his eyes narrowing in suspicion. And yes, it's highly secured. Who exactly are we up against here? His probing eyes shifted to Samira. She frowned gravely in response. That's what we would like to find out, Samira admitted, her hands intertwined and resting onto her desk. Hold your horses, Kai interjected. If only a handful of fighters know the vault's location, wouldn't that point to treason? He scowled at the thought. How could whoever's behind this know where it is? Even if they were strong enough to get past all the security, someone must have tipped them off. We need to investigate the location for any evidence left behind, Liddy said, her expression serious as she tapped a finger to her lips. We need to know what we're working with. It's not that simple, Liddy, Eirik remarked coolly. Access to that vault is strictly limited to specialized high-ranking officers. His sharp gaze turned to Samira, an unspoken question in his eyes. So why us? Why are we being assigned such a critical task instead of higher-caliber fighters or detectives? Eirik, Samira began. She had anticipated this question. I assure you, there are experts already handling the case. Samira's tone was steady as she held his gaze. There's a reason I've chosen you for this task. You'll understand why soon enough. She couldn't say more. Not without creating a conflict of interest for Eirik, which would only complicate matters for both him and herself, especially if his father found out. Samira's eyes moved from Eirik to Liddy, then Kai, and finally Spencer, who seemed the most perplexed. Additionally, she continued, our resources are stretched thin. The Special Forces and Stealth Troops selection exam is coming up, and you know how that goes. Tight security, endless logistics. She rubbed her temple. The exam materials are classified, and we've got waves of tourists and international representatives flooding in. Samira sighed. Just talking about the exam reminded her of the mountain of work still ahead. Preparation was in full swing, and the pressure climbed with every passing day. The exams are top priority, a key symbol of our strength. Not just for our fighters, but for the civilians who like elemental gifts, she reminded them. Business-wise, the exposure helps us secure assignments from high-profile clients who are willing to pay top dollar. That is our primary source of revenue, even if only a third of our population can wield elements or use other unique bloodline traits. Samira exhaled slowly, the gravity of the situation settling in. So we need all hands on deck, including yours. Her eyes lingered on each of them in turn, making sure they understood the importance of her words. You don't have permission to enter the scene of the incident. Experts have already investigated the area, and this, she gestured towards the parcel she had just pulled out of her desk drawer, is their summarized report. She handed it to Eirik, who took it with a furrowed brow. You'll have time to go through it later, but for now, I'll give you your assignment. She paused deliberately. You are to analyze the evidence and gather more information about the nature of the criminals we're up against. Samira trailed off. She could see the words of protest forming in Liddy's mouth. But, Lady Falcon, this is a serious assignment. She stepped forward, her voice taut with concern. We're just 3 juniors, and Eirik only made advance last month. We can't... I know, Liddy, Samira cut her off. I'm simply asking you to do your best. Her gaze hardened as she turned to Eirik. Eirik, I'm assigning you as team captain. Ignoring Kai's grunt, Spencer's muttering under his breath, and Liddy's persistent worries, Samira pressed on. That's all for now. Team, you're dismissed.